welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Christopher Roberts. Joining me now, she is from Orlando, Florida. She is an individual and family counselor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Rene&Barton to the program. Rene, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you as well. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to join us. We appreciate it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Why don't you start us off, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I am Rene&Barton, a licensed mental health counselor and owner of Morago Counseling Services. I founded it to help individuals and families with their mental health and life coaching needs. I have been a mental health counselor since 2013. I graduated from Troy University and I'm licensed in Florida and Louisiana. I have worked with a diverse group of populations, and those include inpatient facilities for the severely and persistently mentally ill, with major depression, bipolar, OCD, schizophrenia, and other mental health diagnoses. I did that to be able to get a true understanding of these diagnoses and the needs of this population. Then going forward, to be able to help my new clients in future counseling services. I've also worked in agency settings for the underserved populations, as well as medication-assisted treatment for those suffering from drug addictions. And finally, my private practice for individual and family counseling to include couples counseling. Individually, I assist those with bipolar, OCD, anxiety, depression, and trauma, drug addiction, and life coaching to assist with those life transitions as well. And my specialties of those are anxiety, depression, and trauma. The family and couples counseling, I assist with life transition, blended families, those things that are unique to them, and parenting issues. I also have a positive parenting program and ADHD assistance for parents and children. So a little busy.
Yeah, there you go. Now, what really got you started in what you're doing here? What sent you down this road?
Back when I was younger, my husband had a traumatic brain injury, and there were not any counselors that were good at handling traumatic brain injury and this uniqueness of that, where it left him with some deficits. And so I, at that time, decided that it was time to make a change and get my counseling degree and licensure so that I could help other people and families be able to handle those things that are facing them, because I don't think anybody should have to face that alone.
All right. Now, what kind of background does somebody like you need to be able to really do what you do?
Well, you have to go out and go through and get your graduate degree, and then you have to do 2 more years post-graduation for licensure, and then after you get licensed, then you can truly work as a counselor, being able to help others. And they do try to get you to help pick a specialty so that your supervisor that supervises you that whole time will help with those needs that come along with being a new counselor and not knowing how to do it, and everything lies on you, and you can't just not be licensed, because if you're not licensed, then you don't have all the experience that comes along with it.
Alrighty. Now, when somebody does reach out to you, what are they looking for? What do you see the most of?
See a lot of anxiety and depression, traumas that lead to over-anxiety, people that have just handled too much in their lives, and they've kind of pushed it away, like put it in a little box with the lock and just not wanting to deal with it, and then all of a sudden it starts to overflow, and that creates anxieties in their life, and they have to find things that they can handle, and they need to find ways to handle it, because it starts making you, some people get as bad as, paralyzed in everything that they do in life. They can't make decisions, they can't get out of bed sometimes, and it just overwhelms people, and so you just have to take it one step at a time.
Alrighty, and Why do you think they choose you over someone else? What sets you apart from others?
I've been told I have a very genuine personality and that people feel that I truly understand where they're coming from, and I listen and I don't judge. So I like to meet somebody where they're at, no matter what they've been through. And that is what people seem to find the most that they relate to.
Alrighty. Now, walk me through a typical session. What's that like? What's somebody get themselves into when they reach out to you?
Well, I start off with introducing myself in the initial sessions and then see how things are going with them, find out where they're at and what they truly want help with. Most of the time, it's not what they come to me for, but because people will say, oh, well, I'm having trouble with anxiety and it's just causing a little bit of trouble in my life. So use that as an example. And so we start talking about tools and tips to manage anxiety, like going through grounding tools, deep breathing. I give them some apps and stuff that can help with it on a daily basis while they're learning how to do these things. And then we kind of get a history of them, where they're at, what's happened to them in their lives, if there is any drug addiction or alcohol abuse. It's that way because we have to manage some of those things prior to being able to really get into some of the deeper things, if that is the case. And we kind of just get started. Like, I don't waste time with anything except for what they came for. Like, I'm a client-centered approach. So if you come in for help with the anxieties, we'll get started. You'll walk out with tips and tools and strategies that day to be able to start managing some of the things that you're facing right then. And after that session, I devise a plan of how to approach the counseling, what would be best for that person, where they're at, what tools they already have, what they've tried's worked and not worked, and go from there. With them, it's really more on a client-centered basis, so you can't really say, oh, well, for every person with anxiety, I do X, Y, and Z, because you cover X, Y, and Z, but really, if they already know X and Y, you don't start at X because they got that, so that's a waste of their time. Now, I do make sure that they're doing it properly, like deep breathing. I walk them through one 5-minute session so that they know how to do deep breathing and that they're doing it properly so they don't hyperventilate or it just doesn't do them any good. And a lot of clients seem to really like that because it helps them to understand how to do it. They're like, oh, they're worried they're not doing it right, or they're not doing enough of it, they're not doing it long enough. And it just can create, again, more anxiety, which is what they came to you for help with.
All right. Now, where do you see yourself moving forward? What's going to be on tap for you in the future?
In the future, I'm going to continue to manage the private practice and go forward with getting my doctorate degree because I want to be able to change the face of mental health as it stands. I think that we need to better diagnose and treat mental health disorders, and to do so, we need to assist with medication and getting that on a good regimen for the client more quickly, because we need to be able to look at, we have genetic testing for people with cancer that says this line of drugs is going to work best for them. I don't know why we're not doing that for mental health. So I think that we need to look at all the tools out there in the toolbox that science has and say, okay, what can we do to help this person with anxiety with these genes, and do brain mapping and things like that to go along with medication. Because when I worked at the inpatient facility, so many times it was retread after retread, person coming back time and time again because they didn't like the medicine, they didn't like the way it made them feel, so they didn't take it. Well, if it's not working for them, then we shouldn't be sending them out on it. They're not going to continue to take it when they can do it on their own. And I can tell you so many times that there have been clients that, Renee, this is really not working for me. Like, I hate the way it's making me feel. Okay, let's call the psychiatrist. Let's talk to them. And they can pick another line of medicine that will work for them. And I have been very successful with clients in the past where working with their psychiatrist has been able to get on a good regimen. And I think if we can cut down that time frame from like 6 months to a year, sometimes that it can take, because they have to try different medicines over and over. And you have to be on them for a few weeks to 12 weeks, depending on which one it is. And for it to get into your system, doing so creates stress and anxiety in the client. And some of the side effects are suicidal tendencies. Well, let a mom of 3 come to you with anxiety and depression and get put on that. And then she's going to tell you, I'm done. I'm not doing medicine anymore because I can't go through that. And if we could cut that time frame down, that's where I think the future of mental health is.
All right. Well, it's been great having you on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You do the same. And for everyone else out there, do stick around. We will be right back. Great job. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a great day, okay?
You too.